What's up? I feel like that's better with more people. Oh well. So Scary Movie, also known as Scary Movie 6, was directed by Michael Tids. I'm not entirely sure, I apologize. And it features the return of various actors from the first two movies, including Anna Faris, Regina Hall, Shawn Waynes, Marlon Wayans, and this time around taking place about 26 years after the events of the first Scary Movie. A brand new Ghostface killer has emerged, and is going after the younger versions of the characters themselves. And it parodies a bunch of movies, including Scream, Terrifier, Smile, Longlegs, Weapons, Sinners, Substance, so many movies that are getting the Scary Movie treatment. So this is a movie that when I first heard about it, I was actually starting to look forward to it. As far as the Scary Movie movies go, they're not great by any means, but they're guilty pleasure movies in my opinion. Like, I recognize that they are not the gold standard of comedy or even the gold standard of spoof comedies. I'm more of an Airplane and Young Frankenstein fan of myself. But I still kind of enjoy the movies as a guilty pleasure. Like, I know they're stupid, but they still kind of make me laugh. Well, one, two, and three, in a sense, they still make me laugh. Four and five, not so much. But I was very excited to see all the original cast coming back. I was kind of excited to see, like, hopefully that this would kind of bring like a new era of comedies, like a new era of spoof comedies in a way. The trailer itself looked a lot of fun. It looked like they were going to spoof a whole bunch of movies, like I mentioned, Sinners, Weapons, Substance, whole lot of movies that came out in the last few years. And with the original cast coming back, this sounded like it was going to be great. However, it's the director I was not really excited for. The director of this movie also directed a few other movies, including the two Haunted House movies, which they're not good. The 50 Shades of Grey parody movie, not good either. He directed a lot of stuff for Marlon Wayans that was not very good, and I was worried that with him behind the camera for this movie, it was not going to be very good. And also the fact that Keenen Ivory Wayans was not directing this movie. And having now seen the movie, I can say, yeah, this movie it's not terrible by any means. Is it good? Um, there are times when the movie made me laugh. Like, I'm not judging this movie on the same level as I would any other movie. Like, I recognize that this movie is not trying to go for awards and such. I am trying to go by how much it made me laugh. And if I'm being honest, the movie made me laugh about half the time. So let's start off with the things I do like in this movie, which is first off, mainly seeing the original cast again. Anna Faris, Regina Hall, Shawn Waynes, Marlon Wayans, they all play their characters very well, particularly Anna Faris, Regina Hall, and Marlon Wayans. It was great to see them again as Cindy, Brenda, and Shorty again. I loved seeing their characters. They had great chemistry once again. It was just a lot of fun seeing them. And among the new cast, the only person that really kind of stood out to me was Olivia Rose Keegan, who plays kind of a new version of Sydney. Whereas, like, she kind of does a lot of the same things that Anna Faris did, and I think she does a good job mimicking her in this movie. There are definitely some funny bits in this movie. I would say the jokes work about 50% of the time, at most. Like, as some people said, it's not that very funny, and honestly, it surprisingly did make me laugh. But I will say that the trailer itself kind of showed off a lot of the gags. There were definitely some fun surprises in this movie, some that kind of caught me off guard, which it's kind of annoying. But if you just stop looking up this movie on the internet. If you look up anything on this internet, if you look up on the internet anything about this movie, it's going to be ruined for you. And I think that's going to destroy this movie in a sense. But there are definitely some fun surprises here and there. It's like, okay, that's actually kind of funny and such. And I will say this too, there are some surprisingly clever moments in this movie. Like, when you find out everything that's kind of going on in this movie, it's like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And it kind of makes you go back and think about, like, legacy sequels in general. I won't spoil it because it was actually kind of interesting at what they did. But it kind of made me look back at like a lot of these movie franchises that are trying to bring back the characters in a sense, but try to have a newer, younger generation to try to carry on the movies and such, and passing the torch and such. And the movie itself is kind of critiquing that in a sense. But I will say that the movie actually had more meta commentary than something like Scream 7, which I never would have guessed in a million years. But let's talk about some of the things I don't like. The main issue that I had with this movie is that it feels very sketch heavy and it feels very scattershot. Like, there are so many moments in this movie where it's like it doesn't really feel like it's connected to anything other than let's try to parody something. Like, let's parody Get Out for this one scene, or let's parody Smile for one scene, or Terrifier, or Longlegs, or The Substance. And it's just none of it felt like it was really connected to something. By the end of the second act, I'm like, wait, wasn't there a killer in this movie? And the movie kind of drops that whole aspect for a good portion of the movie just so they can have these sketches where they kind of parody modern horror movies. Even the mid-credit scene, yeah, there's a mid-credit scene in this movie, which I won't spoil, but it's also a parody of a horror movie that just felt like a sketch. Like, if you told me that this was like a special Mad TV sketch show around Halloween and such, or it just felt like it felt like, the scary movie movies, you could argue that they were very kind of sketch heavy or felt like they weren't really connected. I think the difference is, at least with the other scary movie movies, I never forgot the plots, whereas I feel like this one, it just completely forgets the plot and just kind of says, let's just try to have fun, which is like, yeah, that's cool, but I wish this movie kind of focused a little bit more, other than like saying, let's just try to focus on the jokes and such. And I just felt like the jokes worked about 50% of the time. Like, there were definitely some moments, like, in the beginning where it's like, it was definitely funny and it kind of caught me off guard. But there are some jokes that kind of just don't work. And it's not like I'm saying, oh, this movie's offensive or anything. No, I expected this movie to be offensive. And if I'm being honest, looking back at Scary Movie 1 and 2, those movies are a little bit more offensive than this one. Like, I feel like there's more shock value with those movies. This one is just kind of stuff I just see on the internet, and it's just not... It's just annoying after a while. Like, I'm not offended by this movie by any means, but I just wish the jokes were funnier. And also, there are some questionable moments in this movie. Like, there's one scene, it involves the Get Out parody, but then when you find out what's going on later, how does that make sense? I don't get it. And also, there's another moment you kind of see in the trailer where it's like these three people who are supposed to be the vampires and sinners and such. Well, in the movie, this is kind of a spoiler, but that's Cindy's daughter and her other daughter, and also one of the boyfriends. How do Ray, Brenda, and Shorty not know that they are Cindy's kids? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. There's just so many moments in this movie where it's like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. And this is coming from a franchise where pretty much everyone dies repeatedly and they just come back to life. And they do mention some things where it's like, okay, this is how we kind of explain this away. And it's like, it's not clever, but at least it's an explanation. But I guess to me, I wanted this movie to be funnier, and it did get me a couple times, but I felt like maybe I was just too excited because that trailer just really got me going for this movie. And by the end, it's like, they showed a lot of stuff in the trailer. Like, it was just very disappointing, in a sense. It's not a bad movie, it's not a horrible movie, and dare I say, it's not even the worst scary movie, but it's a movie that I felt like could have been better than what it actually was. Like, if it was as good as one, then maybe I would have been okay with it. But this movie kind of just settles for a unique idea, but it just random ideas sprinkled throughout. That kind of makes you laugh half the time. And there are, again, few fun surprises, but overall, not the best. I would still watch this movie over some of the other crappy parody movies of the last 20 years, like Epic Movie, Date Movie, Meet the Spartans, Vampire Suck, Disaster Movie. No, this movie's actually good compared to those, but that doesn't mean it's great. So, even though it was really fun seeing the original cast again, particularly Anna Faris, Regina Hall, Marlon Wayans, Shawn Wayans, and I did like one new cast member, and I felt like it was kind of odd because like the other new cast members weren't interesting, but I think that's kind of the point. But again, this movie surprisingly has better meta commentary than Scream 7. There are some funny bits, some fun surprises, and again, some cleverness with what they were trying to go for. It may not be smart, but it's also a scary movie. But again, the movie just feels very sketch heavy, and it just kind of got so sketch heavy that it just kind of missed the plot of the entire movie. And also, the jokes work at times, but there are just times where the jokes just don't work. And there are so many moments where it's like, wait, this doesn't really make sense at this time. It's like you're trying to make a joke, but it just doesn't really make any sense. But I would rent this movie at some point, or like when it appears on a streaming service, that's probably best to watch it, or probably watching it with a big crowd. But this movie it's just okay. I'll give Scary Movie 2 out of 4 stars. Stream it. So, what is your favorite parody movie? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.